Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Vintage Motocross Q&A. I'm your host, Joe Abadi. On tonight's show, we've got a wonderful lineup for you. Let's get down to the starting line, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. On tonight's program, we're going to be showing you a thing about how to clean air filters properly. We're also going to be looking at a little review on how to disassemble a set of Elsinore shocks. We're going to be showing you a 1981 Mako 490. We're going to be taking a look at how to get those knee pads on a CZ tank. Very difficult to put on. If you've never done it before, this is going to be a good time for you to listen up and find out how to get those things to fit. What else do we have, Jordan? Oh, in the What's It Worth segment, we got a 1973 CZ250, which recently sold on eBay. I thought it was a great deal. We'll tell you more about the price and some of the finer details of the bike. Oh, and the product spotlight, you're gonna love this. This is something that Jordan likes to use when he transports his bike. We're telling you more about this, how easy it is to use, and what a great way it is to transport your bike on your way to the racetrack. Preston Petty, we're giving away another number plate tonight, autographed by the legendary Preston Petty. We're gonna be giving you a trivia question a little bit later on. You'll have an opportunity to call in and win yourself a plate. Oh, right now, I'd like you to share this. Just take a look at your phone, you glance down there, there's a share button. Hit that share button, get some of your friends to come over and join us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'd really appreciate that. Nothing happens when you do it. You just invite some people over to see the show with you. YouTube channel is growing, but we still need your help. When you get an opportunity a little bit later on, go over to YouTube, Vintage Motocross Q&A Live. Go over there, please subscribe to our channel. We have all the videos up there as it is right now. Most of them are in high definition. You get to see all the shows in high def. You could do this all from your television too, if you're a subscriber to YouTube. As always, I want to thank Preston Petty Products, FastGuyStuff.com, Vmxq&A, Metro Racing, and of course, Amsoil for all their support for this show. Right now, let me tell you about the next time and why you should try this. The other day on Facebook, I saw someone that was talking or had asked a question in one of the forums about how to clean air filters. There were a lot of comments made on this. Some people insisted that you should use gasoline. I think gasoline is a really bad idea to clean foam air filters. It was never a good idea. It's not a good idea now. I think it dries out the filter in the long run. Also, it delaminates the glue that holds some of these rather expensive air filters together. I don't recommend you use gasoline. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for your hands. I wouldn't suggest anyone use gasoline when it comes to cleaning an air filter. Let's go to the next slide and I'll tell you a little bit more about something else I saw. Now, I really couldn't believe this one. It was on Rocky Mountain ATV when I was doing some research, and it showed that they sold a product from K&N to clean out your filter. Then they show a person rinsing it out over a sink. Why would you rinse out an air filter that has gasoline in it, possibly other chemicals, oil especially, not necessarily other chemicals, but yeah, other chemicals from the cleaner, oil, and gasoline. Why would you put that over your sink and put it down the drain? Not a good idea, guys. Sorry to the people at Rocky Mountain ATV. I don't know why you have that on your website. I wouldn't recommend it. Here's what I would recommend. You should buy some mineral spirits. Yeah, you could use diesel. It's a little less caustic, but I would use mineral spirits. I would buy 2 buckets from Home Depot. They sell these 2 little buckets, or they sell them a single bucket at a time. They come with a lid, looks just like it does right here on the slide that you're looking at. Put some mineral spirits in a bucket, wash out your filter. In the second bucket, use some cold water. Cold water really works really well. We're getting the mineral spirits and the remaining dirt, anything that's in there, it comes out. After that, you can use some compressed air or let them sit outside in the sun and they'll dry out. Okay, that's what I would recommend on cleaning filters. Get yourself some rubber gloves like that too. And remember, don't wring out a filter, squeeze it. Never wring out a filter. Jordan, next slide, please. You've got the bucket in this filter, you can cover it back up. You could save your mineral spirits. You could probably use it 2 or 3 times to clean each filter. Also, when you go to oil your filter, put on some nice rubber gloves. Big popular thing these days, latex gloves, isn't it? Put those on, put a little oil in a Ziploc bag, put your filter in there, and then work it around, squeeze the bag with the filter inside of it. The oil is going to get all over that filter nice and evenly, and you're only going to use the amount of oil you really need to use to get the filter covered. You're not going to have any waste. After that, you can either throw away the gloves or save them, close up the Ziploc bag, and you can use it again the next time you need to go clean your filter. Another thing I would recommend is maybe do 2 or 3 filters at one time, if you have 2 or 3 filters. Okay, get them all cleaned out, get them all oiled up, put them in a bag. You can take them with you to the track or keep them with you in your shop. When it's time to clean or replace your filter because it's dirty, you'll have another one ready to go. So that's my suggestion on that. Next time, try that. Don't rinse off anything in the sink. Don't use gasoline. Let's keep the environment in mind. Let's keep your health in mind too, as far as using gasoline and stuff like that. I don't think it's a good idea. We're going to be taking a look at a video right now. A lot of guys out there, big Elsinore fans, and the shock to an Elsinore is a lot easier to take apart than you may think. I've got one right here that is together yet, and in the video you're going to see how I've taken off the collar at the top. You could slip off the springs, and well, you'll see it in the video, and I'll give you a little explanation as we're watching that together. What you do is, well, here's the shock. You can see it complete. It's the same on Elsinore's 125s and 250s. What I had done for this picture was I took off the adjuster on the bottom so I could show you how to take off the spring retainer at the top. It's not that easy with the adjuster on the bottom. You may need a spring retainer tool to get it off, or have a friend help you as you push down on that to get the spring off the shock. Once you get it off, well, the pictures speak for themselves. Now, I have another shock here after it's all been taken apart. You may need a special wrench to get off the piece at the bottom, but right now you have a lock nut at the top with your eyelet. You want to take that eyelet off, get the nut loose, and you're going to be able to get this head off. And on there, you're going to have an O-ring, and there's a seal head inside. These things are still available. I got mine from Keith Linus the last time I bought them at OSA Planet. When you pull that shock apart, it is going to have oil in it, so be very, very careful. But as you can see, it's very, very simple to take apart. At that point, you can get your shafts re-hard chromed. You could refinish the bottom, and when it's all done, I would recommend you use AMSOIL shock therapy oil in your suspension. It's really that simple, fellas. Not that complicated to take apart an Elsinore shock. Not like a Works Performance shock or some of your other more modern shocks where there's nitrogen and other things involved, shim stacks and such. So that's how you take apart a CR 125 or 250 shock from 1974, 75, 76 too, I think. Thanks, Jordan. That was a great video. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Today we got a 1981 Mako 490. It was sent to us by Craig Smolin. It's a beautiful bike that he had bought. It was complete when he bought it, and he went through it pretty well. So here's the bike that Craig bought. When he purchased it, it looked a little rough, but it was a very, very complete bike. And Craig went through it from top to bottom. Some of the really great things that Craig did to this bike, and you'll see it in some of the pictures, was he replaced a lot of the bolts with stainless steel. He did a beautiful job. He had the frame powder coated. He replaced the shocks. He also had the front suspension done with emulators, okay? The engine, as you can see, was painted. He had a pipe put on the bike, replaced all the plastic, and he did an absolutely beautiful job here on this 1981 Mako 490. I'm not sure where he got the plastic from, but the graphics and the plastic look real, real nice on the bike. He's got some wide foot pegs on it. He's also got the tip. I don't know if you saw it in the last slide. He's also got a nice toe tip on there. There, you can see it there. And he's got a Heim joint on his brake pedal. And just overall, just a beautiful job on the bike. He's had billet aluminum ignition cover put on the bike, and Craig Smolin sent this in to us, wanted to put us on the show. And I just thought it was a really beautiful little Mako 490. Thank you, Craig Smolin, for sending that in. We're going to be getting you out some fastguystuff.com stickers. Thanks again, Craig. It's a beautiful bike, one of the favorites for so many people, 81 Mako 490. Here's the problem. This is the segment of the show where we take your questions from throughout the week. We look for some answers for you, share it with some of the viewers, and hopefully we all learn a little bit of something from all these great questions that you guys send in. What's the first thing up on tonight's Here's the Problem segment, Jordan? It's from Zach McKay. What are the differences between the 1974 and 1975 Elsinore? While it doesn't look like there are many, and most of them are aesthetic, there are some differences, and in the slides, I'll explain some of it to you. Mostly what you see first, of course, is that the pipe is different, and of course, the side panels and tank. The side panels are red on the 75, silver on the 74. The tank has the red stripe on the 75. Also, 74 handlebars are chrome, 75 handlebars are black. The Kickstarters are a little bit different. Here, if you're looking at your screen, you can see to the right is a 1975 Kickstarter. It's straight. To the left, you'll see the green plate sticking out there a little bit. This tells you it's a 1974. You can see a slight bend in the Kickstarter on a 1974 CR125. The rims on a 1974 CR125, there's no bead around the edge. It's like a lip, not a bead. The bead is where the tire meets the rim. On the 1974, there's no lip around the edge of the rim. On the 1975, hopefully you can see it here in the slide, there is a little bit of a bead that goes, not a bead, a lip that goes around the edge of the rim. That's on a 75, no lip on the 74. Here's a big difference. 1974, 1975s had a very thick liner in the cylinder. To your left, you can see how thick it actually is. And that's on a 74 and a 75. That thick lip makes a big difference in the cases. Where the crank sits down in the cases, the opening will be smaller because the liner for the cylinder is so much thicker. On the 76, let me back up just a second though. Also, one other thing, a 1975 has a boost port above the intake ports, okay? That was like a GP cylinder for 74. You can change them. You can't put a 75 cylinder on a 74. And now, in the other picture, you'll see that the liner is a little bit thinner. That's on your 76, 77, 78 Honda CR125s. So keep that in mind. You can't just change all the cylinders. You can put a 75 on a 74 and vice versa, but after 75, you can't put those cylinders on 74s or 75s. I mentioned earlier the chrome bars on the 1974, the black bars on the 1975. The number plates are about the same, and the cables, everything else is pretty much the same, except some of the things I mentioned, which are big things that a lot of people don't realize. It's not just a matter of a red stripe and a green stripe in the pipe. There are some other things. What else do we have here, Jordan? That's it for the 75, 74 Elsinore difference. Zach McKay, thanks for sending in the question. Can you discuss the proper way to trim a 40-year-old tank and knee pad rubber to get them to lay flat or straight on a CZ? This is from Mike Conley. Yeah, I can describe it to you. The first thing I want to tell you is that when you get replacement pads for your CZ, if you have a steel tank bike, like Conley has right here, the pad itself, when you get it, it's going to look so much smaller that you're not going to even believe that you have the right pad for that tank. There's a edge that goes around, you know, there's a raised plate with a little edge that is on the 72, 73 tanks. You'll see it here in the next picture. That outline right there on the white tank is where that pad goes. That pad is exceptionally difficult to put on unless the tank is mounted to a bike or you have two people to actually handle it. You need to heat up the pad gently with a heat gun would be good, but very, very gently because it is rubber. You don't want to melt anything. How I usually get those things on, and as I said, it's very hard. You put them on the top first and you get them on the sides. What I do is I use a tool like this, and I think Jordan has a slide of it. Here it is right there. What this is a spring removal tool. It's made of hardened steel, and it's used to take a spring off of like an exhaust pipe or wherever else you might have a very high tension spring, a very thick spring, where you move it with this type of a tool. What I do is I put the pad around that edge and then gently work the edge of the rubber around the entire section of the tank. It takes a lot of time, and generally it takes two people to do it unless the tank is on the bike. With the tank on the bike, you might be able to get it done yourself. If the tank is off the bike, it's going to be next to impossible. So this is what I use. I use a spring retainer tool. Make sure that the edge of it is not very sharp. This one happens to be blunt. It's very, very good. You can peel that little lip back on that knee pad, and you can get it worked around the edge on that CZ tank. By the way, Mike, your tank looks exceptional. I love that Conley's Texaco vintage look you've put on your tank, and whoever put those pads on your tank obviously knew what they were doing. Thanks, Mike Conley. Andrew Saylor, what's the best way to transport a 1976 YZ125X? It has no springs in the forks. Should I release the nitrogen each time I tie down the bike? No, you shouldn't. Here's a good way to do it. I would recommend you buy, and what he's talking about is the air canister bikes, the 76 YZ125X, also the 250C and the 400C had those canisters. If you didn't know this, there are no springs inside those forks. There's a high pressure chamber, there's a low pressure chamber. You can see the two Schrader valves there. You need to keep those things balanced. Get yourself a manual that tells you how much pressure to put in each one. But they're very, very temperamental, these forks, and you don't want to just let out all the nitrogen and ship the bike or tie the bike down with the forks collapsed. Here's what I would recommend. In the next slide, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's a tool or a part that's made that fits right between the top of your fender and the top of your tire. And when you put that in there, you can tie down your bike without collapsing the forks too much. And the pressure from the tire and that thing will give you a good steady way to hold your bike. Also, in the slide on the left, they make a really great chock like this. They're available from a couple of different people, Rocky Mountain ATV. I think, who else sells those things? Some of your big manufacturers, Dennis Kirk, I'm sure people like that. You could bolt that thing into the bottom of the bed of your truck or on your trailer, and you could pull down on that. Again, the pressure from the tire will make it nice and stable. You can add some tie downs, but you just pull them down a little bit to keep the bike stable. And that's what I would do. The YZ125X forks, a lot of people complain about them. They said it wasn't a good idea. It is a good idea. The thing is, they're very, very temperamental, and you need to have a nitrogen bottle, and you need to have a gauge to measure them each time you race and use those forks. Good question. I hope that you gained something on how to transport your bike using those two items I showed you today. What do we got next, Jordan? Steve Guckenberg, how do you go about repairing broken cylinder fins? Or in some cases, bent cylinder fins? You didn't send me a picture, Steve, of what exactly, how your cylinder was bent. But I can tell you this, if it's an aluminum cylinder, chances are it was bent during a race while you were riding, and the cylinder was good and hot. That's why it bent and it didn't break. Now, I don't want to recommend anything here because I haven't seen the damage on your particular cylinder. I did look up a couple of things, and I saw where a guy has made it look like a vice grip with a set of very, very wide jaws on it, where he was bending the cylinder and what it looks like on, it could be a Mako, I'm not sure. Also on the left, I saw a guy do something with a wedge, but I think he was working on a steel cylinder. If you send me a picture of what you have, I could tell you a little bit more about it. But one thing I can tell you for sure, you want to make sure that cylinder is good and warm before you try and bend that cylinder, before you try and bend that fin. I don't know if it's the fin that's on top that you're looking to straighten out, if it's in the middle, maybe it's on a head, I don't know. If you send me a picture, we'll take a look at this again on a future episode, and I'll be able to give you some better advice on that. I have seen, haven't tried it myself, I have seen where someone had taken cedar shingles, a shake, in other words, it's like a V, like a wedge, and they had put that wedge of cedar shake down in the cylinder, and they kept pouring water on it day after day. As that shake began to swell, it began to put the fin back into shape. But if that's in the middle of your cylinder, you're going to need to shore up the other fins that are on there, or as something like that begins to swell or you begin to bend it, you're going to wind up bending another cylinder. I'd be exceptionally careful about trying to do this until we do a little bit more research on this for you, and we'll be able to give you a better answer. This is not something you want to, I'd rather look at one bent, if I had to, on a race bike, than have one broken. But Steve, I appreciate the question. Send me a picture of the cylinder that you have, and we'll revisit this on a future episode. In the What's It Worth segment, I looked at a 1973 CZ 250 this week. It's sold in Arizona for just $1,855 on eBay. I thought it was a really, really good deal. Some of the pictures here I'll talk about, and I'll tell you why I thought it was a good deal. Number one, the frame wasn't cut. The loop is in the back on the frame. I'm not saying it's unusual that you see one, but many times you'll see them that have the loop cut. The pipe was original on this bike. I thought that was a huge plus. That the pipe was original, the tank looked nice. It was a faulty tank on it, although it was a 1973. It did have a little dent in it, but I thought that the tank was really, really nice on the bike, and it had the correct pipe, the correct rims as well. The rims didn't look too bad. The forks didn't look banged up. I really didn't see any rust. The seat looked like it was in good condition. Number plates, I mean, it had Works Performance shocks on it. I thought for $1,855 to have a 1973 250 CZ, I thought that was a really, really good deal. I mean, just, you know, the tank and the pipe alone, I thought were really worth probably, I bet you close to $800. If you went to sell that pipe and went to sell that tank, I bet you get close to $800, maybe even a little bit more than that for this bike. So it had a Mikuni carburetor on it. It had the correct Mikuni setup on there, the ACK, the ACK setup to attach a Mikuni carb to it. It looked like a real nice bike. Had the original bars on it too, which you don't see too often with the welded-in purchase. For $1,855, I think it was, I thought it was a really, really great deal. 1973 CZ 250 in Arizona, $1,855. Trivia. You got a chance to win yourself an autographed Preston Petty number plate, compliments of Paul Stannard and Preston Petty products. If you go to your phone right now, I'm going to give you an opportunity to win one of those plates. And the trivia question tonight is, what racer is known as the Beast from the East? The Beast from the East. It's not me. I am from the East, but I am hardly a beast. I want you to call right now, 925-234-8181. Susie's inside with the phone. 234-8181, area code 925. Who was known as the Beast from the East? Win yourself a Preston Petty autograph number plate. In the product spotlight tonight, we talked a little bit earlier about Jordan's way of transporting his bike, and I wanted to know a little bit more about this product. The bike is supported by the frame, not the suspension. It's a fast and easy way to load the bike by yourself. A few improvements can be made easily. The cons, it's a little expensive. It won't work with downpipe bikes, and you must have modern style pegs in order to keep the bike secure on this MX hauler. It is $450, but I'll tell you what, it's really a pretty cool item. Jordan was nice enough to make a little video about this Ultimate MX hauler.
Let's see how fast we can load this bike up. I like this hauler because the bike sits on its frame rather than on the suspension. I used to have one of those shelf type haulers, and it was kind of hard to load the bike. You had to balance it while you tied it down, and it wasn't all that stable. This thing uses a regular bottle jack that, if you ever need to, you can replace for about 20 bucks. The lock pin was a threaded bolt, but I just drilled the threads out, and now I use a hitch pin. I also added the safety chain just in case. It comes with wing nuts for the peg bolts, but I got some hex nuts instead. Makes it easier to tighten down. And for that I use a 15/16 ratcheting wrench. You just want to snug it up real good. You don't want to rip your pegs off your bike. And I just keep this wrench in my truck. And a couple tie downs for the handlebars, keeps it nice and steady on there. I usually tie the extra length around the front wheel to keep it from spinning the whole trip. Less than 3 minutes, bike's loaded up. That's it.
Maybe I can get his.
There it is, Jordan. I appreciate you putting that video together. I think that's a pretty cool item, 450 bucks, but it's a great way to get your bike down to the track. Now, we have a winner in the trivia contest. And the question was, who was known as the Beast from the East? And on the phone with me, who am I speaking to? You're on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Who am I speaking to?
This is Bruce Bennett from Seattle, Washington.
Bruce Bennett from Seattle, Washington. Can you tell me who the Beast from the East was?
Damon Bradshaw.
Damon Bradshaw is correct. Thank you so much for calling in. That is the correct answer. We're going to get you a Preston Petty number plate in the mail tomorrow. I'm going to put Susie back on the phone. She's going to get your address. Thanks for calling in, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. We got a commercial break. We're going to hear from Vmxq. I always love watching this commercial. Check it out.
Classic and vintage dirt bikes are more than a hobby. It's not just about the ride. It's about the work that goes in. The work that keeps you connected to the ride. It's about bringing the bike back to life and doing it with your own hands. It's about the adrenaline and adventure. And when it comes to putting all the pieces together, only Vmxq knows the bikes and parts the way you do. Vmxq. Keep the ride going.
We've got the announcements coming up. I want to, of course, thank Vmxq for being one of our sponsors, as always. They've got a great catalog. You can go visit them at vmxq.com. They're on Instagram. They're on YouTube. They're, of course, here on Facebook. Jordan, let's take a look at some of the announcements. Vmx. I really want to urge everyone watching this to get a copy of Vmx magazine, especially right now. It's a great time, and I'll tell you why. Right now, the Australian dollar is a little bit weak. So where you were paying maybe 65 or 70 bucks for some copies for a quarterly copy of Vmx, you can now get it for $55. When you go to the website and you go to check out using your credit card or your PayPal card, it's down to $55. Now, Vintage Motor Vmx, of course, is a great magazine. The articles, the write-ups they do, the quality of the pictures in there is second to none. They've been around for a long time. They've supported vintage motocross all over the globe. I mean, all over the place, not just America, but everywhere there's a race. So I want to encourage everyone to go over to Vmx, get a copy of Vmx. It's only 55 bucks right now. And I mentioned it last week too. The first 10 people that go over there to get a copy of Vmx magazine, I'm going to be giving away a copy. Maybe we'll do it instead of either the Preston Petty number plate or something else in the next couple of weeks. But I will give away a copy, not a copy. I will give away a subscription to Vmx magazine in the next week or so. But I need 10 people to say they saw it on the show. Go tell Ken Smith you heard Joe Abadi talking about it on Vintage Motocross Q&A, and that's why you came to order. When Ken tells me that he's got 10 people that saw it from the show, I'm going to give away a subscription here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Ken Smith, thanks for all you do. And again, everyone, go over there, help support Vmx. Throughout this time with this coronavirus thing, we've seen a lot of people stepping up to the plate with different things and doing so much to help each other. One of the things I found really great was that Fox was putting something together for protective goggles and for masks for responders out there during the coronavirus crisis here. So I wanted to mention that and tell everybody, go over and support Fox all you can. They're doing what they can to help everybody during this crisis that we're all experiencing. Vmx Radio, it's coming. It's coming in the next couple of weeks. VMX Radio is a completely different thing than Vintage Motocross Q&A. It has its own separate website or Facebook page. It's a group. It's growing every day. We have over 1,500 people there already. So Vintage Motocross Radio on Facebook. Go over there. Please join us. It's a great group. We're going to be having a very, very special guest. Probably this Sunday's Easter. We're looking at next Sunday, the 18th. It's a show that's on Sundays at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Vintage Motocross Radio. I will, of course, be the host. I'm looking forward to getting some of you people there to listen to our show on a Sunday. There's going to be interviews, more like a radio show, not like what you're seeing here. So you'll be able to get some great interviews with some people. We'll also be bringing up some topics to where you can call in and we can discuss that live on Vintage Motocross Radio. GTL Metal Polishing, go visit their website. George Lucas does a great job polishing stuff for a lot of people in the industry. He's good at rims. He'll polish hardware. GTL Metal Polishing, go visit him on Facebook or on his website, gtlmetalpolishing.com. 47 years ago today, the late Jim Pomeroy was the first American to win a Grand Prix. He did that in Spain on a 250 Bultaco. It was not only absolutely amazing that an American had won a Grand Prix, but of course Jimmy did it on a Bultaco in Spain, racing against other guys on Bultacos. 47 years ago today, Jim Pomeroy will never forget you. Rest in peace, Jimmy. You were so special to everyone. Gino, I know you get excited when I mention Jim Pomeroy's name. What do we got next, Jordan? FastGuyStuff.com. I want to thank Sean Gomes and everybody there at Fast Guy Stuff for supplying us with the great stickers that we give away every week when someone sends a bike in for the Moto Showcase. If you get an opportunity, go over to FastGuyStuff.com, see what they have for sale there. Thanks, Sean. We still have sponsorship here at Vintage Motocross Q&A, of course. We have AMSOIL, we have Vmxq&A, we have product sponsors, and we have an opportunity for you. This show reaches almost 20,000 people after 3 or 4 days of the live feed. So many people share it. It's all over the place on Facebook. So if you think you have a product that you might want to get out there in front of some vintage motocross fans, send me an email, drop me a line inside in an inbox, and I'll get you a copy of the sponsorship proposal. It's not that expensive, and you reach a lot of people. It's a great niche market. And don't forget, we're going to be going bigger now on Vintage Motocross Q&A on YouTube as well. And once that gets up to the numbers we need, you're going to be seeing a lot of people watching this show on YouTube and on Facebook. So this could be a good opportunity for you to get in there as a sponsor now and reach a whole lot more people just a little bit further down the road. I want to thank all our viewers for tuning in here at Vintage Motocross Q&A tonight. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share it with your friends, and go over to YouTube and subscribe to us. And we'd be happy if you could do that. Gino, where are you, boy? Come on, Gene. Come on, Gino, come on. We'll see you next week on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Gino, you're not interested tonight? Come on, boy. Hey, come on, Gino. Come on, Gino. There you go. Yeah, who's that, babe? Okay.